Hello ladies, I hope that your day is going well. In this video, I want to talk about no returns, no exchanges, avoiding returning to toxic or dysfunctional relationships, no spinning the block. So if you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscription button, please like the video, and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. I was recently watching a show from the 80s. So this is a retro show. And in this particular episode, the lead character is a policeman. And he has an ex that appears and she's having trouble with her current husband. And so she's going through all these different shenanigans. And over the course of the episode, his partner asked him, basically what had happened with them, is trying to figure out if he wants to reunite with this woman. But what he ends up saying is that the relationship had ended. He didn't have an interest in reconciling with her, but yet he was still being there for her because come to find out that her husband was a big time criminal and that she was going to have to leave the relationship. So they never got back together. She ended up leaving town. But she had turned to him because she knew that she could still trust in him, even though they weren't in a relationship, even though they weren't spinning the block. She knew that she could still rely on him. And he actually was acting in protector mode, looking out for her interest, even though they weren't going to get back together or reconcile or renew the relationship after the husband dies. And it's very important for us to recognize that when a relationship is over, that we need to remember, if the person ever reappears, or we have the thought of revisiting the relationship, why did the relationship originally end? Now, I'm not saying that no one can ever reconcile and that the second time around that relationship cannot be successful. But I do believe that whenever you break up with someone, whenever a relationship ends, it ended for a reason. And it may have been a very powerful reason. So it's very important that if the person reappears, and for us as women, if a man reappears, that we are mindful of why the relationship ended in the first place. Because those same behaviors, those same characteristics, that same spirit operating may still be in effect. Now, the Bible tells us to be wise as a serpent, but harmless as a dove. It's very important in relationships that we are, again, mindful, that we're using our wisdom and discernment before thinking about reconnecting, before spinning the block, before returning and revisiting to an old relationship. Because what can happen is we can get caught up in nostalgia. We can get caught up in strolling down memory lane, as it were, and thinking about all of the good times, but glossing over and nullifying the huge reasons, the major reasons that we ended the relationship and why we chose to stay out of that relationship for so long. So it's important that we are mindful, because otherwise what can happen is we can end up revisiting this relationship and then going through the same trauma, drama, dysfunction, or pain again. And it may even be worse than the first time. See, if we weren't appreciated and valued the first time, there's no guarantee that the second time will be any better. If anything, it might be just the same or, unfortunately, even worse. And so just the same as if we were approaching a relationship with a new person, a man still needs to be vetted. There still needs to be a screening. We really need to ascertain and determine, is this a good move for me? Is this really going to enhance my life, or am I just feeling nostalgic? Am I feeling lonely? Have I been alone and I hate it so much that I'm willing to settle and I'm willing to abandon my standards and my criteria because this is somebody familiar? It's very important that we don't negate what happened in the past and the reason for why that relationship ended, but also that we keep our standard, criteria, and boundary high, whether it's a new man or whether it's someone that we previously were involved with, engaged with, etc. That we are keeping in the forefront of our mind the importance of not aligning in a relationship that is going to be problematic and detrimental to us on any number of levels, from spiritual, physical, financial, mental, emotional. Because if we've gone through a lot with somebody before, whether it was through struggle love, whether it was through being the come up woman, the fallback woman, the side chick, etc., we do not need to recreate that painful dynamic again. It's very important that we know our worth, we recognize our value, that we're walking in our purpose, and that we not allow ourselves to be unaligned, or that we not allow ourselves to be detoured and distracted by someone who is ultimately going to undermine our vision, our goals, and our purpose. You see, God can send people into our life, but so can Satan. And everyone that comes back into our life is not coming into our life to enhance it or make it better. Sometimes they are actually on a mission to make life more complicated for us. And it may not be something that they are consciously doing. May not be something where they're actually speaking that, but that is exactly what is the intent ultimately. It is going to become a complication in our life. And we may have been on a great trajectory. Our career's going well. Maybe we started a new business. We've gone back to school. We've gotten a new skill set. We're traveling. We're saving. We're leveling up. Our life is in a great space. And here comes the great distraction, who is not on the same page and who ultimately may be a major distraction and may bring a lot of heartache to us. And that is why it is so important for us to not allow the nostalgia and just reflecting on the good times to get us off track, to put us on the wrong course, because that can happen. That can happen, and it can really impede our progress and really put us in a bad place if we don't do our due diligence. If we are in a big rush, if we are being love bombed into rushing because, hey, we know this person, or we believe we know this person, and because we had some good times in the past, and we just leapfrog and jump over the screening and the vetting. Let's say this person has been gone out of our life for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. That's a huge space of time. There's a lot that may have occurred. And it's very important that we take our time to gather evidence and really determine through our discernment, is this a good look for us? Because it's a huge jump from being not in contact with someone to jumping over just becoming friends to leaping into that relationship, leaping into a romantic relationship, rushing into a relationship. And we may not truly know where this person's mind is, what their true motivation is, what their character and integrity look like right now. And what have they been up to all these years? That's very important to know. I remember reading about a woman who got re-involved with someone that she had been either friends with or who was a boyfriend 20 years before. And there's going to be a huge difference from someone that you may know when you're in high school together. You might have been high school sweethearts. You may have been middle school sweethearts. You may have been college sweethearts. To 20 years, 25 years later, you fast forward, you're now in middle age, or you're close to middle age. A lot may have occurred with that person. And yes, they may have been great and fabulous and everything was wonderful 20 years ago, but a lot may have occurred in the interim. So now they're spinning the block. They want to come back and reignite this relationship. But is this is this going to be a good idea for us? Is this going to be a good idea for me to rekindle this flame and to jump back into a relationship with this person and to re-engage romantically? Is this what's really best for me? That's what we have to determine. And it's important that we take our time to do that, because we know that when love bombing is involved, when we're rush into a relationship without doing our due diligence, that there can be disastrous results. It can really put our life in a precarious position because of the drama and the baggage that now may be arriving at our front door. We don't know what the person may be bringing. And unfortunately, sometime as time goes by and as you get to know the person better, you realize this is not at all who I used to know. And in the case that I was referencing, this woman, unfortunately, when she started to realize who this man was and she decided she wanted to slow the relationship down and she wanted him to leave her home, it ended in tragedy for her. And not every relationship certainly is going to end that way. We don't want to see any relationship in that way. But it may not be to that extreme, but there could be a lot of complications that are created if we are not using that discernment and wisdom in terms of rekindling a relationship without doing our vetting and our screening and really determining if this is a good match for us right now in 2023. So I just encourage you to just really take your time, be mindful, don't get caught up in the matrix, don't get love bombed and rushed into a relationship just because there was a past connection or because it was a nice relationship 10, 15, 20 years ago. It's very, very, very important that we know our worth, that we know our value, that we not get into any relationship that's going to impede us and undermine us and bring us a lot of struggle and drama and stress. A relationship really should be enhancing our life, not taking away from it, not undermining us, not detouring us. And if a man has a lot of things to work on, we know that being Barbara the Builder is not a good look. We know that it's important that he focus on how he is going to optimize his skills or optimize his learning to be able to be financially stable, emotionally stable, to do his own leveling up. And we take our time in doing that assessment, and that we continue on our own journey to making sure that we are living our life on an enhanced level in health, wellness, on purpose, and with vision. Let me know what you think in the comments beneath the video. As always, be blessed, continue to level up, stay far away from the struggle matrix or spinning the block back to a dysfunctional relationship, because you deserve better.